Hey y'all, it's your girl Millie Chun. I am back with part 2 of the morning session before lunch with the day 10 of the Diddy trial with Capricorn Clark on the stand. As you can see, she is emotional right here, so let's just get into it. So we left off with the names that he would go to hotels under: Frank White, Frank Black. The girlfriends would go under Jackie Starr, and he would be at the Intercontinental in Atlanta, Buckhead, and Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. And then she talked about what was in the bags: cameras, lube, baby oil, lots of cameras. And she would be watching TV. She would be catching up on sleep, ordering room service. And after the festivities were over, she was left to handle the damage, like the baby oil damage. So she was also asked how frequently would Mr. Combs stay in a hotel with Cassie in 2008. She said like once a week for several days. Did he speak to you about his relationship with Cassie? So she said yes. And then it was like things he would make Cassie do, right? She said that he'd call Cassie over and ask her to walk there and hand me that, go back in the other room, and she would do things, and Puffy would say, that's why you women, not in that word, don't have a man, right? Because Cassie was doing what she was told to do. And the AUSA said, well, what did you say? She said, you're MFing right. And then the AUSA asked, did you observe Mr. Combs obtain drugs? She said, a girlfriend in New York and LA from one stop. And she talked about everything that he got delivered. And then she was asked, did he ask you to get drugs for him? She said yes. And she told what kind. Then the AUSA was like, in the south of France. She said, he asked me to get Coca-Cola. I said, for who? And then the AUSA asked her, well, why would you say that? She said, I wasn't going to do it given how my mother had passed away. So I guess her mother passed away, you know, for drug related. And then they had another sidebar, child. When they got back, they asked Capricorn, like, who were the drugs for? She said, he said, not me. And then they asked, did you get him? She said, yes, through the Spanish security guard. He also got prescription drugs in her name. They were in toiletry bags that she carried for security. So Puffy was like, nobody would know that he was doing this. He was using aliases and other people. So all this is asking about, did Diddy have cash? She said yes, like 100,000 euros from a club booking in Europe. Then they got to talking about tussling, right? She said that he was violent with her. Pharrell had come over one time. Puffy had told her she could not leave, but apparently she left to accompany someone. And when she got back, he was like, where have you been, basically? And he told her that she can't have a life. And then she asked the chef if there was turkey bacon. There was no turkey bacon. She said she hated it here. Puffy found out because the chef was a tattletale, and he pushed her. And he said, if you hate it here, then you can get the you-know-what out of here. Like, just mean. So then they noted that she left for a minute, right? But she came back because she was... she returned as a global brand director, and she came back because Diddy was impressed about what she did in the job that she left for, a couple of albums. He said that she would have to work directly for him. So then she was asked, what were you doing for Miss Ventura? And she was managing her image and optics for Sean. She said he had final approval on everything, and she said she lived in a gated community in LA. We had followed Kim Porter there. So she was out there with Kim. So they want to know where was Cassie. And Cassie was in New York on West End. She would come to LA and stay with him or with her in a hotel. Who else was Miss Ventura seeing? Scott, Cudi, Kid Cudi. How'd you know that? She brought him to her apartment. So Cassie was just doing her own thing, still under Diddy's spell. So I guess Cassie was texting her, you know, her and Kid Cudi was going somewhere. Capricorn didn't think that was a good idea. She said delete the text. And Puffy was paying for her and Cassie's phone, so she didn't want him to see that, right? So she took Cassie to Best Buy to get a burner phone. Puffy had come back. He took Cassie to a hotel. And then she said December 22nd at 2011 between 5:30 and 6 a.m. in the morning that was banging at her door. And Puffy was furious when she looked through the peephole, right? And they said objection, redo the question. And they said, what was the movement? She said he was pacing back and forth. And they asked, did she open the door? Child, she opened the door. Puffy came in there, right? They asked, what did he have on? Button-down sweater, torn pants, and he was holding a firearm, and he was pissed. Why didn't you tell me? Who is Scott? She said she don't know no Scott. What did he say? Child, they said they was about to unalive this end. Then they said, where was the firearm? She said, in his hand. I said, I didn't want to go. He said, I don't give a blank. What you want, get dressed and let's go. And then they asked her, what concerns did she have? She said, he never come to my house. Did she try to escape? She said, no, I got dressed. And I guess so. If somebody raging with a firearm in his hand. Ooh, child, they done got in the car and they on the way to Kid Cudi's house. Right? She had got in the back seat. On the right hand side, Puffy had got on the left hand side. She said he usually sat in front of her, but he had the firearm in his lap. It took him about 15 to 20 minutes to get over to Kid Cudi's house in the Hollywood Hills. What did Combs and Rube do at Cudi's house? They went in. Could you see? She said yes. What did you do? She said, I called Cassie on her burner. I said, Cassie, where in the world are you? I told her Puff was at Cudi's house. Then I changed her number in my phone to my best friend, Stormy. Could you imagine the adrenaline that is running through your body when you're about to be an accessory to a crime that you think that's about to happen? Because he said he about to go over here and unalive this man because he has found out Cassie's over here with Kid Cudi. Oh my God. Oh, y'all, I feel like I'm in the car. So what what did she hear on the phone? She said that Scott was at Cassie's. And when Puffy came back to the car, he took her phone, y'all. And he dialed the last number that she had called. It was Cassie. Then she saw Kid Cudi driving up. And then she saw Puffy's face. And he was like, there he go right there. Then she said, we drove off. They saw the police. Puffy tried to get himself together, right? They stopped at the Key Club. And he told her to call Cassie. And what did he tell you to tell Cassie? She said that he had me and would not let me go. Then the AUSA was like, well, how did Miss Ventura respond? She was like, Cassie was calm. She said, okay, come get me. Who drove you home? She said, Ruben. What did Mr. Combs then tell you? To convince Cudi not to say that it had been him at his house. I picked Cassie up. So he over there, Kid Cudi to call the police. That's what I'm getting. And Puffy don't want his hands on it. This is a mess. When is the movie coming out? Child, this is a lot. So they asked her, where did she go? She said she went to Cudi's house. She was trying to convince him not to file a police report because Puff said he was going to hurt all of them because he had a firearm. And what was Cudi's reaction? She said, mind blown. There was an objection. They want the jury to disregard that. How can you disregard? I can't disregard it. You can't disregard it. What happened at the house, child? He was kicking Cassie again and again. How was Cassie? She was in a fetal position. Puffy kicked her all the way into the street. She was crying silently. He was kicking her backside. She started crying. Where were you? She said 5 feet away. Oh my God. Child, Puffy told Capricorn if she jumped in, he was going to get her too. And they asked, what did Rube do? He didn't do anything. Who did you call? She called D-Rock to tell Puffy to stop kicking Cassie. And then she said she called Paulie and he said he'd take care of it. But Rube did nothing. And what was next? Puffy told her to get out. And she said she left on foot and she could still see Cassie being kicked until she went around the bend. Then they asked her, who did she call? Regina Ventura. I told her he was kicking the stuff out of your daughter. I can't call the police, but you can. And they said, why couldn't you call the police? She said the mission of the day was to get Cudi, so no calling the police. The mission? Child, she said the arson investigators had called her. She hung up on him because she was ready for this to be over. Puffy was so pissed. He said he should just unalive all of them and cut Cassie's face. So they said that he threatened her. She said about 50 times, and D-Rock doubled down on it. And they was asking her, who is Harv Pierre? She said, the president of Bad Boy Records. I told him Puff had kidnapped me.